I've been waiting for this for a year, and I'm very excited to meet you all because I have been discussing with Pastor Gareth for almost like 5 or 6 hours now. And yes, try my best to keep it very simple and try my best to share the stage with my colleagues there because everybody has a story, and the goal is to share the story. So my story is, I was in a long-term care, and I was privileged to understand the rules and policies and how the management works there. And so basically my job involved meeting seniors every day, ongoing basis. I was into environmental services there. So every day I'm talking to people. So I did find some issues there, and then I started researching into it. So what is happening in our community? So I realized, so we have roughly in Waterloo region, we have a population of 650,000 people, of which close to 19% are seniors. That's more than 100,000 people are seniors in our community. That's one number which kind of, I started asking questions to myself. And then how many are there who are getting, so I'm just taking care of 160 people inside an institution. So I'm like, seriously, I started thinking on that, and I realized there are almost 40,000 seniors just waiting to get into long-term care. That's a huge number. This is for Waterloo Wellington, just Waterloo Wellington. So out of 100,000 people, 40,000 are waiting for getting into long-term care. Now, once a senior in our definition is above 65, so anybody 65 plus are considered as a senior, and it's not necessary that everybody age equally. They have different, so some may develop, unfortunately, some issues, some may not. So what my goal today is to focus on small thing. You should know what your needs are. You should know what are available, and you should know what you're getting. So that 3 things is very important. So what the issues you're going through, what is available or what you should be actually getting and what you're getting. There's a gap between that. So that you have to decide, and we can help to fill the gap. That's the thing. So that's what my beginning note is, that it should not be taken for granted. You should know what you're eligible for, and then you should get it. If you are not getting it, you should ask for it. That's very important. And care, I call it as 2 Ds. Care should neither be denied or delayed. When I say denied, for example, rural Canada, we live in Kitchener-Waterloo. It's quite, you can move around a lot easily. But what about rural areas? Our team came across a couple of cases like that. Let's say Kincardine and Lucknow and those areas. You don't have much services there. People live there. So what about that? So it should not be denied because of that, or even delayed. And cost is also one factor. So there are many factors. I'll not go into that in detail. But this is the thought which I have. I wanted to share that, and based on that, I'll just explain what is home care, what is retirement home, and what is a long-term care, and their issues. So that the takeaway from here is at least you know that what is happening in the community, what is exactly out there, and based on that you can plan. So that's you spending your time listening to me. I wanted to make sure that you take away something out of it. So you should benefit out of it. Keep it very simple. Home care, when definition point of view, whenever you are hiring somebody to take care of yourself. Now, what is care actually? Is care about completing your daily chores? I mean, getting you, if you require care and getting you showered up, helping you change your dress or combing your hair, is that care? I think those are just tasks. They are not, that's not care. Care only happens when there is an emotional bonding. Care only happens when there is somebody who's spending time with you. These are just activities of daily living. That's just anybody coming and helping you with your activities of daily living is not care. Care only happens when you have a bond. So these are just the theoretical part, but if you are hiring somebody or having somebody in and around you to help you out with any small thing, let's say coming for a walk with you, reminding you your medication,
taking you for a doctor's visit, even that is part of care. It should not be just be. So somebody asked me, like when I was talking to one of my clients, why should I hire somebody to just be with me for 3 hours a day? What's the need of it? So that's where we are heading. Why the need comes. So I'll come to that point. So this question I'll leave it there. So just simple, home care is whenever you have a third party helping you out with your daily living. That's as simple as that. Retirement home. So I will give an example of retirement home. So in a different way, my own way. I say retirement home is a long vacation where you pack your bags and go out and book a hotel and you stay there. That's exactly retirement home. Because you go there, you unpack your bags, change your dress and go out with your friends or make new friends there. And you don't need to worry about anything, whether anybody is taking care of your housekeeping or whether do I need to cook food for me? Nothing. No baggage carried, you just go and have fun. That's actually a long vacation where the catch here is your control comes down. Because now you only have 50% of control because rest of the thing is being managed by the retirement home management. That's the point. So, and it's just like a vacation, but you cannot go back to your home here. Now because you have left your home and now moved ahead and gone to a retirement setup. So because, now here, one thing you need to understand, again, retirement homes do not provide any care. They just house you. For care, again, you have to hire a third party. It's very similar to home care. Here, home means where you reside. It can be your home or it can be a retirement home. As simple as that. Again, you have to hire a third party to come and help you if you need care. Government do not support any kind of care at retirement home as of yet. Long-term care. So that's it's good that we have a high life expectancy, and as we age, physically we are not able to accomplish certain tasks. Unfortunately, if let's say I'm aging and if I have a stroke, so I may be paralyzed. I can become paralyzed, or I can have a heart condition. Some conditions which can make it difficult for me to do my things myself. Now, it's not just about personal care, it's about even moving around. So there is a point where your doctors may decide that you require at least 2 or 3 visits per day by a physician. You require at least a personal support worker coming and helping you for at least an hour a day. You require a nursing staff around you 24/7. So that's the stage when you move into LTC, long-term care. Now the catch here again, there is zero control. So so when you are at home, you have 100% control. When you are at retirement home, you have 50% control. Once you are here, it's not you are within that institution, and everything is provided there. Now there is roughly around 78,000 beds in Ontario. That's all for long-term care. And I'm speaking about Ontario, and remaining seniors are at home. So our primary focus is to let you know this is the situation. If you will need somebody to take care of you, then reach out to whoever is near, whoever you want to, that's up to you. But you should be aware that that may happen, that will happen, and be prepared for that. It's a part of preparation. So this is the control part I'm telling you. Here you have 100% control. You can either go to LTC directly from your home. You try to stay till your 90s, and maybe there is a stage where you have to move to long-term care. Or you can go to a retirement home, and from there you move to a long-term care. Okay, some issues with LTC, I will not go in detail, just few of them. The most important, when I was working in LTC, and my colleague Melinda will explain it in more detail, the major issue I saw was staffing. When I say staffing, it's not that people are not available to work. There are people available to work, many are there. But government cannot afford to have everybody at the site. You should understand that. So I'll give you a number-wise explanation. So in my home, a long-term home, there were 150 seniors in one home. And at a time, so these staff have 8-hour shift. So they have 3 shifts, morning 7 to 3, then 2 to 10, and 10 to 7. So out of these 3 shifts at a time, there are 30 support workers taking care of 150 people. That means one support worker has to take care of 5 seniors during his or her shift. That's the number. She works for 8 hours, 1 hour of her lunch. So in 7 hours, you have to be with the senior, 5 seniors. So at a time, one senior is getting hardly 1 hour of service in one shift. So basically, out of 24 hours, when you say one-on-one care, it's hardly 4 to 5 hours, even if it is in a long-term care. Because beyond that, they cannot afford, they cannot have anybody else. So that's the basic issue I found. And then infrastructure. Obviously, our buildings are very old, it has its own issues. And yeah, so that's one, and because of COVID. So prior to COVID, when I researched, I found that inspections were regular. So there was 3 months inspection by Health Canada, there was a yearly inspection by Long-Term Care Association heads, so that she will explain that. But as COVID started happening, at least between 1 or 2 inspections, there was an year gap. So reducing amount of inspections, that's another problem. And of course, as I spoke about the waiting list, as per my current numbers, or close to 40,000 people as per 2018. 40,000 people waiting in this region just to get into long-term care, and the wait period is approximately 5 years. So that's huge. So I was having a different number, and my colleague there reminded me, no, that's not right. This is the right number. 5 years is something around 2,000 days. That shows that you require home support. You need to have somebody to take care of you. Now again, the question arises: why should I have somebody? Why should I spend some money to have somebody in my home? That's where I'm heading towards. Okay, so this is just an explanation. Unfortunately, out of the survey conducted in 11 developed countries, Canada stands 8th when it comes to senior care. It is better than UK, France, and Sweden, but it's less than rest of other countries, undeveloped countries, rich countries. So that's not. Canada is good in many things, but there is some issue there. Unfortunately, COVID deaths, almost 69% deaths which happen. That's the percentage in seniors that LTC home accounting for 69% death, as compared to any other developed country which only had 41%. That's 1.5 times more. So that shows that the system and the infrastructure has some issues which is we're trying to fix it. But then again, if you are staying at home, you need people around you. So NIA conducted a survey. Yes, 65 plus individuals, 100% people want to stay and age at home. And unfortunately, everybody is aware of it. The most of the funding which comes from government 98% goes to creating the institution or long-term care or whatever it is. Hardly 2% of funding is coming to home care. So this is something I am raising, I am talking to people, this has to change. This percentage, once it starts changing, things will change. Now, good thing is it is happening. In Alberta, almost it's called client managed care, where the government is funding home care up to $33. And it's hopefully in next few years it will come to Ontario, then it will be very good. So you can stay at home, and part of it, at least almost 90% of the cost will be managed by the government. So we are heading towards that point, but at least this is the number right now we should be aware of. Home care. Before we head into home care issues, I'll just play a small video. So those videos actually showed real life examples where the people who have hired home care staff, what problems they are facing. So unfortunately, first of all, there is shortage. So we have so many people requiring care, but then we don't have that many staff, and they are not well trained. The training, just having a degree or let's say a certification doesn't make you a good caregiver. You have to go through that, you have to customize your learning. Certification just gets you to that point where you're ready to enter into the field. But every individual has his or her own requirements. Based on that, you keep on learning. So that is something which many people are missing onto it. It's an ongoing learning process. So even first thing, there is a shortage of staff. Second thing, they have a poor wage and working conditions. So what that means is, when I was talking to somebody, he told that being a caregiver is considered as a last option when it comes to a job. That was his words. And I told, why? Because I'm paid less here. Now, we believe this is one of the most noble work that anybody can do. Spend your time to take care of somebody else. So in general, at least till last year's data, they were paid less. Now things are changing. So that's the positive side of it. So these are the basic problems when you see for home care. So that's what is happening. So that's where the problem of inconsistency or misrepresentation. So there is a lack of open communication. Very, very essential. You don't want to call a call center and wait for long to talk to people. So half of the problem will be solved if you have an open channel of communication. If you talk, if you are able to discuss. So this is very important here. And yeah, so different population have different, so we don't have a record of how much support is being provided to indigenous population. Don't wait for a crisis to happen. That's very important. When a crisis happens, then you're forced to reach out to anybody or everybody who's available, and your control is gone. You don't have any other choice, but you have to go to any service provider. Here, what is happening is you waited for something to happen. So that's one thought this is something which in my mind I'm trying to, how I can relate with this. It's like taking an insurance for your car. It's a very simple example. Why do you do that? It's not just a rule. It's because something happens. You are prepared for it. So that's better than going through that crisis. So be prepared for that. How does that work? So let's say you know somebody, or you are plus 70, 75, where you think, okay, it's okay to have a third person visit me once or twice a week. That's fine. Even if it's for 2 hours, just somebody around with a healthcare knowledge who can be, who has a different perspective. So let's say I am a caregiver, I enter your house, I can see right away what are the things which can make the things a little difficult to navigate from this room to that room. So a small thing like that, because that prevents fall. Fall prevention is a big title in itself. But how can you do that? From your home. You have to, once you touch 70, 75, have somebody come to your home at least once a week so that they can help you out to navigate, make things better for you. You have a phone number to whom you can reach. If there is an issue, can I talk to you? If you call me and if I'm not able to answer your question, I can connect you to somebody else because I'm in that system. So that's where when again channel of communications opens up. You know whom I can call and where the solution is. So this is very important. Having a feeling of I'm good and perceiving that, but it's nothing wrong in it. It's everybody. It's a normal thing. But add an additional insurance to that has somebody around you, so that if it doesn't happen, we have the goal is to avoid the crisis. We don't want that. Another issue is this is something I read recently. Let's say, so this is I will be very choosy about my words here. So a couple is together for 30, 40 years, and something unfortunately happens to a wife or the husband. What happens then? He or she is moved to a long-term care, but they are separated. How does that work? Is that right? You living with your loved one for 50 years, and something happens, and then you have to live in your home alone, and the other person has to live in a long-term care. It's not acceptable. I am against that because again, that affects the emotional well-being. Health is not just about physical thing, it's about the mind, body and soul. Emotional well-being has got a lot to do after a particular age. Rather than sitting physically better, you have to have a good mind. That affects. So separation is considered as a crime in Sweden. So that was a video which I had to show, but it doesn't work. But then, I was again skipping about talking about it. It was self-explanatory. So that's there. What happens is if a loved one is unfortunately going through a situation like that, they move them together to a room where they live together. That's what, and till the end of their life. That is what it's all about. Relationship, emotions, and that mindset. So this is something, if we can get it in Canada, that will be wonderful. That video was about the funding. One of our gerontologists, Dr. Sinha, he was mentioning that the thing which I mentioned earlier, we need to have more funding into home care so that we can take care of people at home. See, as a service provider, we have, like, as from Just Like Family, we have our own limitations. We are not like fully equipped and everything. Like any other service provider, we are one of them. But then these limitations can be, we can come out of it if we have some extra funding. So that was where he was discussing that. And he mentioned about Denmark. Now, Denmark, again, is a very, that was a video where, they have a different system of handling senior care, very similar to Sweden. But then with the housing where they have, for example, they have wider doors once you age, because if you have to move your wheelchair, they don't have a bathtub. Because if you have to, so small things, those small things, they are giving value, and that's what is required. That was a video which was self-explanatory. Alberta is, yes, it's changing. Australia is considered one of the best countries when it comes to home care, because they have the simple way, client-centered management. We talk a lot about client-specific or client-centered management here in Canada, in any other country. But I personally, it's my opinion, it's just on words and books. Where is client-centered management? Are you able to decide for yourself at the end of the day? That is the freedom you should have. You should decide what kind of care I want, where I want to live, and what I want the government to assist with. Almost 7 billion is being invested in next 5 years to create more beds in Ontario. So that's the amount of money government is investing into creating institutions rather than focusing into home care. So that's where, that's a totally different big topic on that. I'm not going there. Unfortunately, I was planning not to jump. I'm not going there, I'm not on there. But someday if required, I can, because that's a huge number there. And so what, this is, so we understand the problem. This is the solution we know, and we are trying to achieve that. First thing, we acknowledge the loneliness part. When I mentioned first, in the long-term care, 5 hours, hardly you get a one-on-one care. Remaining 19 hours, you're alone. Remaining 10 hours, you're watching outside the window, waiting for somebody. I have seen that. I really felt bad for that. That's where the idea came to me. This has to come out. This should not happen. So loneliness is a big issue. Why you want somebody to be around you? Because this can cause depression. This can cause many other problems. This can help. So if you have somebody to be with you at least once a day, that's the big difference. The companionship factor. Nobody is talking about it. Everybody is busy providing care, like morning chores, this, getting you shower and all that. No, this is also important. You need to have a human soul around you. You need to have somebody to talk, the emotional aspect. Next is the protecting client-caregiver relationship. What it means basically is, you will like 10 people coming to your home every month, like every day you have a different person coming, or you want to have one person visiting you for next 30 days. At least you know the person. You don't want strangers walking around your home. So we are trying to protect that client-caregiver relationship. It's not easy, especially when we have a staff shortage. So our system is, when we have a client, we kind of hire 2 or 3 people that match. That's why we call ourselves as a matchmaker. So we try to match based on the client. Next, most important factor here is, it's not just about the person who needs care. It's also about the primary caregiver, the family. We work with the family. That's very important. We work for the family. Because we know that's stressful for them. We understand the stress. So when this process, this client-caregiver relationship is happening, we also try to bond with the primary caregiver, the family, and we work together as a team. It's not just for the, we have the system in place and we are going to do like this. No, we want to know what you exactly want. When we know what you want, then only we can provide what you want, right? Again, I mentioned we have a system, software, like that's a university kind of thing, a learning portal where our staffs keep on training themselves. We promote education right now, I'm doing that. So that's something which I think it's very important. We need to talk about it, to learn more about it. And communication is there, we are supporting the family. Most important, we are a certified social enterprise. What does that means is, social. You can't just call yourself as a social enterprise unless and until you follow certain criteria. That's a whole different story. I'll talk about it later. But then the purpose of this is keeping people first, making a difference in people's lives. That's the primary goal. You need to have profits to sustain, to live. You don't need to, because if you want to carry on with the system, you need to have staff, good staff. You need to pay them. Most important thing which we do different, we pay our staff almost 60 to 70% of what we earn. Because we know that happy staff means happy clients. So take care of your staff, they will take care of your clients. That's how we think. So these are small things which we are working on. This is our policies, and I will not say we are 100% successful in it, but still we are on to it. These are the numbers I have in Pastor Garrett having our numbers. This guy is me, and this is my manager, and Boydie, who will be coming, in the next he's going to come, he's going to be explaining, sharing his story. So we have our number, anything and everything, feel free to call. It's not just about hiring or just call and ask questions. You have the right to know what you need, and you have the right to know whether I'm getting enough or not. If not, then you need to ask for it. So call, ask, we are here, and if you have any questions, my team was better than answering questions, good in answering questions, they will be here. And thank you very much. I hope I was able to give some information which adds value to you. When you go back home, at least you're taking away something which will help you make a right decision, as moving ahead. So thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much. And I'll ask Boydie, our Waterloo team member colleague, to please, so that he can share his story.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Boydie. I'm in charge of Waterloo. I'm not going to talk about a lot of facts and numbers and stuff like that. I want to talk about what I do and what it means to me. So I got into this field because I had an unfortunate incident that happened in my life when I was about 40. They had to take my heart out and put someone else's heart in, which was not in my plans. It wasn't what I was hoping to do with my life at that age, but there was a silver lining. So I want to talk about living, because we talk about all of the things that you can't do and all the things you have to do, but nobody ever talks about what it affords you to do, which is you can live your life. So after my transplant incident, I was fortunate that my father was a psychiatrist and I was able to recover at home as opposed to going to a recovery house. One of the issues is when you have family dealing with you in your recovery or in your care, they have vested interest in the situation. So they're worried about you, which sometimes makes it a lot worse. For me, it made it a lot worse. I wasn't comfortable at home. Every step I took was like walking on glass. I'm like, don't do this, we don't, all those things. I had a walker, and for the first month, my objective was to get from the house to Tim Hortons. That's all I wanted to do. So every day I would get out and just, as far as I could go. It took about a month, yeah. But I got there finally. And I think the reason that I wanted to do that is because I just wanted to feel normal again. I didn't want to have people fussing over me, don't eat this, you can't go to bed too late, don't watch the leaves because the leaves, So it gave me some insight into some of the things that we don't talk about when it comes to care, and mainly the feeling of being a burden to your loved ones. One of the things that I find very interesting with what I do is witnessing family dynamics. I'm a parent myself, and my kids are between the ages of 16 and I think 6. And I can never imagine my children telling me, Daddy, you have to do this, or Daddy, you can't do that. And we find this all the time. So, you have a lovely family, mother, father, children are now older, and something happens, which happens, and now the kids are involved in the situation. And sometimes if you just are able to separate maybe the parents, the one who's in need of care, and their spouse, you'll find that I don't want to hear this from my children. Well, the children don't want to be in the situation. The children also don't want to be in the situation of having to be their parent's parent. So again, it goes back to what kind of life do you want to enjoy you know, in the golden years. Just because we're incapacitated or older, it doesn't mean that you can't do a lot of the things that you want to do. And I think that's one of the things I like most about home care. It allows you the freedom to go out with friends. It allows you the freedom to have a more productive and active lifestyle, because maybe some of those little things that we're used to doing, taking care of the home, preparing meals, going out to get a haircut, are just a little bit too much at the moment. And so when you plan for it, and then you have home care as a part of your life and as part of your plan for aging in place, you know, you're able to do the things that we enjoy more, and then we don't have to be talking about, you know, depressing things all the time, and like what's happening to you, and you know, but you're not allowed to do what the system isn't able to give you. So that's one of the things that I love. And sometimes I do have clients that I attend to myself. Currently, I am in a relationship with one of my clients, not that kind of relationship, but she's a lovely woman. And the only thing that we do is we go to the grocery store, sometimes we go to the salon. Last week we baked muffins. And one of the things that I like about working with her is it gives me an insight into what it really looks like on the ground, as opposed to it's a business that I own and I know a lot of facts and that kind of thing. So it's taken the burden off her daughters, so that relationship is improving, which is a lot of fun anyway, so it's not really much of a job. But it also gives her the opportunity to stay in her apartment, which she loves. She's been there for a few years. She has her friend network, her social network, and without home care, without somebody coming to check in on her and make sure that she's taking her medication, just those little things, all of that stuff would be taken away from her. So I always want to point out to people that you should not look at home care or home care services just in terms of medical decline or cognitive decline, but it's also good to look at it in terms of it's liberating, it's freedom, it allows you to stay, I think, the person that you want to be, especially when it comes to friends and family, for as long as you possibly can, because that's, you know, I think that's the objective of life for everybody. We like to enjoy life as opposed to having to deal with it. So that's the only thing that I wanted to say today. I'm lucky that I work with Giraffe, and he's very technically oriented, so you'll get all of your facts and figures from him. So I'll keep it short, and I'm going to pass it on to Melinda, who is going to give you a little bit more information about what is out there and what's available to you guys in our area, in our community, in our industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my name is Melinda. I've been working in senior care since 2006. I worked for 6 years in long-term care and 10 years in retirement. What drew me to home care was a lot of the experiences that I saw in long-term care and retirement. Mainly in retirement, the residents that I resonated the most with were the ones that kept saying, I want to go home, I don't want to be here. So then that kind of, you know, over the years and helping out all the residents, I'm like, well, okay, I'm here, I'm helping out these people, I've made great friendships, but then my mind just started going into, well, what does it look like to help people stay in their homes, you know, because at the end of the day, as much as you want to help people out and do your best, and there's great caregivers in, you know, long-term care, retirement, you know, everybody tries to do their best, but at the end of the day, is there are some people that just, you know, don't want to be there, and those are the people that I think home care can be a great benefit for and be able to support them. And there's, you know, there's lots of supports out there. Again, the biggest message that we want to send out today is just having a proactive approach. A lot of the residents that I've seen over the years that come into retirement, again, I'll speak more to retirement because you're paying out of pocket to be there. You're paying a lot of money, but what happens is a lot of people are at a crisis. You know, it comes to a point where they're needing so much support. The families can't help them. They're, you know, doing as much as they can in the homes, but it's gotten to the point where, you know, they just can't help out. Some of the examples that I've seen is just, you know, families tell us whatever we need to hear. You know, there's different levels of care depending on which retirement home you go to. But I remember one example was there was a family and we didn't know the story, but turns out, you know, their aunt needed so much help the story we got with, that we got was, they just need a little bit of help, so they ended up moving it into an independent area. Within a week, this person was wandering, they were, going into different people's suites. So that's the thing, is there's so many different things to navigate within the healthcare system that we just want to be able to share that. And I think, if you are looking to move into retirement, long-term care, just have an honest conversation just from somebody who, supported seniors. I think that honesty goes a long way, because at the end of the day, I think everybody does want to help out and do the best for everyone. But if we don't know those true stories, it's hard to connect. Sometimes, you tell us one thing and, we can figure out the best match based on what we know and what you're telling us. But sometimes if the truth is a little bit, twisted, then it makes it a little bit harder. And I think those are the families that end up paying a lot more in the long run, because there's a lot more services. Like Sharath said, retirement, typically you're paying for your meals, your housekeeping, the activities that are included, and you have to independently be able to attend to those activities that take place. But again, if you need any more help than that, then typically it comes at a cost. So there's so many things to navigate. So I just wanted to, again, just mention that, that proactive approach is so important. Let me see. I just wanted, do people know about, they used to be called CCAC and then the LIN? For the longest time, I feel like I used to just try to figure out what their name is, because they're always changing. So now they're the Home and Community Care Support Services. But again, if you do need support, we're here to help you out too. If you need, just to how to navigate the system within the community, and different things like that. So that was just another thing just to mention. Yeah, there's lots of information out there. And just going back to that, the wait list for long-term care. I remember, again, a couple years ago, I did an assessment with a resident. He was 97. He had been on the wait list, again, for a couple of years. His daughter was there. We were meeting with the community supports. And again, the healthcare worker told us, again, that the 5-year wait list, and then the daughter was like, okay, well, sign me up, because the daughter was almost 70 at the time. And then the healthcare worker's like, no, you actually have to qualify. So there's, like even within the system, there's so many different approaches and things to navigate too. So again, we're happy to help to answer any questions and go from there. Anyone have any questions? I can bring Sharath up here too to help out with questions.
I can, you can carry on.
So how is what you do different from the LIN?
How is what we do different from the LIN? So the LIN is through the government. Again, they do have some supports that they're able to provide. Sometimes I know in retirement they were able to help out our residents with morning care, evening care. In the community, they're able to provide up to 3 hours, I believe, of support. But if for certain individuals, if they need anything more than that, then typically they have to look at a top up. So that's where we come in to come in and help out. And we're also looking to, again, work with government services to get that additional government funding support down the road to help offset some of that cost for people. So we're just, we work, I guess, it's more of a collaboration too, because it's more of a partnership. They do their 3 hours, that's covered, and then anything else you need, then we can step in to help out.
Are you the same as Bayshore? Like it's Bayshore, do you know what Bayshore is?
Yeah.
Is that similar to what you do?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, there's different organizations out there. Yeah, there's, Home Instead, there's, yeah, Paramed. They usually work with the LIN or the HCCS. Yeah.
So are you just another name for the LIN, or are you doing it different?
No, we're independent. So just like Family Home Care is a home care service that supports, again, seniors that need that support in their homes.
I was going to ask you, my mom was in a retirement home and didn't get the extra care kind of package, and then she had an injury. She had surgery and needed some dressings and things. And she was upset because they wouldn't provide it there, but it wasn't offered in what she had signed up for. And so when you offer a private company service and give them more personal care, do you have a package of what's there? Because if she needed her pills counted or sorted, she did them herself, she was amazing at that. But that was an extra cost if somebody else, organized your pills for you. And when she started to realize, she went in thinking she had sort of basic care, somebody would put a Band-Aid on you or somebody would do things, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
So do you have a package deal of the things that you can, as honestly as you can possibly estimate,
Yeah.
what the cost would be?
And it'll be based on an assessment, so again, figuring out what supports you need, and then based on that assessment, if it is a nurse that you'll need, then we'll make sure to pair you up with a nurse. If it's a PSW, if it's more of that companion. So again, usually we always do that assessment first to try and figure out what you need, and then make sure that we get the connection. And then in retirement, they have, it's called 24-hour nursing services. Some people get that confused. They think, whenever I need a nurse, they can come and help me.
Yeah.
The nurse is there. It's usually 200 plus seniors living in a home sometimes. We have a nurse that's on 24/7. The emergency nursing services means if you have a fall, you can call the nurse, they can help you. So that's what emergency nursing services in a retirement home would mean. It's not, I have a wound, I need help. They technically don't do wound care, they don't do any of that. So you would still have to reach out to the home and community services through the government to get that funding and that coverage. So it still takes a bit of time.
Is there a difference between what is the difference between retirement home and assisted living?
So there's different levels of care. So some retirement homes are just retirement. Some retirement homes have, it's called different levels of care. So they have independent living. So complete independent in retirement typically means you get your lunch, your dinner, and weekly housekeeping. And then, nothing else. And the, 24-hour nursing service and recreation programs that you would have to independently participate in. And then there's more of a base level of independent living, which basically includes breakfast, lunch, dinner, weekly housekeeping. Sometimes housekeeping comes in to make your bed, things like that. A little bit more help. Sometimes medications included, and 1 bath or shower per week.
So that means that's not government, assisted
No.
living isn't necessarily government.
No, so if it says assisted in retirement, it's still out of pocket. You're still in retirement, everything is out of pocket. So the only thing is, basically, what happens in some retirement homes is when it says independent living, you're not paying for the services, but you get bigger apartments, bigger suites, and then the more care that, so if you go into a full service retirement, it's a smaller apartment, includes a little bit more care. Assisted living in retirement homes includes the 3 meals, housekeeping, everything else like that, and a 1-person assist for activities of daily living. So 1 PSW is what it means, assisted in retirement. But where you would have to pay extra is if you needed 2 people to do that job. So if you need, if all of a sudden you had a fall, you can't get up, they need to use a lift, now you have to pay for that second person to help you to do that job.
But the assisted living part is not government covered.
Not in retirement, no, you still have to pay. Yeah.
And independent living, they would assume you're doing your own laundry as well, right?
Yeah, and some places have it where you can, add on the services at a cost. Yeah, so you could add the laundry, you can add different, some places have, a laundromat where you can go and do it on your own. So, yeah.
So there's a cost for all of your service?
Yeah, so typically, when you get a package for any retirement homes, it'll include the different, like you basically have to pay, like that's the unfortunate part. And that's where you have to really look at the detail, because some people say, I want the bigger suite because that's what they you know, they like the bigger area, but that area doesn't include the services that you potentially need,
Yes,
so.
but I was talking about your service, your company.
Say your question again, then, sorry?
I'm talking about the funding for your company, your service.
Yeah, so that's out of pocket right now too, for people who need it out in the community, yeah.
Okay.
So then if you decide to stay in your home, which hopefully it's paid for, you're not paying a mortgage and things like that, then it would be less expensive to hire your services to come in and provide things within your
Yeah.
familiar environment, and
Yeah.
you're just not in a part of a broader
Yeah.
community.
Exactly, and usually it's like a fraction of the cost to get the supports that you need. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with prices for, let's say, retirement homes, but it does range quite a bit. I mean, some for a studio, they go around 2,500 plus, a 1-bedroom could be up to 4,000 plus. The other issue that sometimes we do see in retirement is because people are paying so much for the rental aspect of living there, they're worried that they're gonna run out of money, so then they don't pay for extra services even though they need it. So that's where, you know, they're living independently in retirement, but now, you know, I'm worried that I won't have money, so I'm not gonna pay for a PSW, I'm gonna try to do all these things on my own. So then that kind of defeats the purpose of you being in a retirement home to take advantage of the services when you can stay in your own home that's probably already paid for and just add on the services that you need.
Another thing, so
Yeah.
if somebody else has questions, please.
No,
ask.
that's okay.
But can they hire your company to come in, even if they're living in a, say, a Chartwell, it's one that I know the name of. If you were living in a Chartwell home, can you still be hired to come into that home, or would they say, no, you have to use?
No, we can go, so basically, again, the residents, they rent there, but they can hire whoever they want. And a lot of the calls that we're getting lately is from retirement homes. Like, I had one yesterday, you know, the lady that I spoke with, she said, you know, my mom lives in retirement, unfortunately now she started wandering, and she's in independent living, and they're basically telling me that she needs somebody 24/7 with her because she's at a high risk. So until they can get her moved into the right area, the family, it falls now on the family to basically get that support for their loved one. Any other questions? I'm standing in between you and lunch, so I think I'm gonna take a break and you enjoy your lunch.